Bhante Sujato was known as Mr. Best at one time, and is an Australian Buddhist monk who used to be a musician, if you're not aware, and former Catholic before he traveled to Thailand in search of a new direction and entered an extensive Vipassana retreat in Chiang Mai. And he has spent many years in Bodhiana, and also at one point he was the abbot of the Santi Monastery, which he has since retired from and given way to a nun's monastery to be formed and now headed by Venerable Nirodha. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you, to kick off the session on making sense of this afternoon panel and what they're going to be talking about. Please join me to welcome Bhante Sujato.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Bhante Sujato. So when I told people that we're doing a panel which was like cyborgs and robots and artificial intelligence and stuff, and they said, what's that got to do with Buddhism? I'm like, who cares, right? We'll find some kind of Buddhist angle on there, you know. I mean, speaking as a sort of long time sci-fi geek and things like that, you know, if you're familiar with the story of the Buddha's life, you know that when the Buddha was a child, when he was a young boy, he had a transcendent experience where he was sitting under the tree and he just spontaneously went into deep meditation, and that changed his life, that experience that he had as a young boy. Well, when I was a young boy, I also had a transcendent religious experience, right? Sitting in the dark. I remember the year 1977, sitting in the dark, and then the words appear in front of you, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And there is, technically in the past, but a future. You know, lightsabers, faster than light travel, flying cars, all of those kinds of things. And the coolest people in the whole universe, right, are basically the Buddhist monks who are living in the jungles and the deserts doing all of these intensive mindfulness exercises, right? That's what the Jedi Knights are, yeah? So these days you can say you'll be a Jedi Knight just in the census, right? You can identify your religion as being Jedi, which I think is a bit unfair because it's really just a subsect of Buddhism anyway. So this is like a possible future, and there's like this sense of wonder that we can have at that, right? And I was at that perfect age where you can see that and you're like, what could this be? What might happen in the future? But of course, that's not the only possible future. I remember another movie which I saw, which also led a very impression that I remember to this day. It's not about flying cars and lightsabers, but it's about a man driving a car across a desert. Mad Max. And I know there's been a new Mad Max movie. As a monk, I'm not allowed to go to the cinema, but I hear that it's very good. Has anyone seen the new Mad Max movie? Yeah, is it good? Yeah, okay, very good. Did it make you feel very peaceful afterwards? But this is like another possible future, isn't it, right? I mean, you look at that and you think, well, this is not by no means inconceivable, right? This is something which it could be a terrifying vision of what our future may well be. And I was joking about this the other day, and I was saying, you know, you can see that film is a parable for the future. If you're a member of our current government, you'd probably look at it and think, policy outcomes. So what kind of future are we going to create? Are we going to? We have our technology with which we can do all of these incredible things. You know, we can fly. Just last week we had these incredible images from Pluto, right? And the incredible thing, almost every day we're getting these unbelievable technological achievements. I've even heard that there is, in the very near future, that we'll actually be able to get PowerPoint presentations to work properly. But don't hold your breath. It's like a cure for cancer. They've been promising that for years. Anyway, so we are creating this future, and it's a future that we are building all of the time. So one of the things that the Buddha taught us is that we're creating the future. Nothing is fixed. There's no such idea as destiny in Buddhism. It's all about our acts. And the Buddha always talked about, he used this one word Dhamma, which we're very familiar with. And the word Dhamma is one of the most radical teachings that the Buddha gave. The word Dhamma, as probably most of you know, means something like a nature or phenomena or natural phenomenon or natural law. Now, the Buddha used the word sankhara a lot. Sankhara often having a meaning of something like an energy or like some kind of conditioned or energetic patterns that create and condition the world that we're going to live in. And so the world as depicted by the Buddha was a world which was not created by some outside force. It wasn't created by a god or anything like that. It's not sustained by any kind of metaphysical substance like a soul or a self or anything like that. But it's a world which is bootstrapped. Right? It's networked, where things lean up against each other. Things condition each other and cause each other. And so everything that we look at from a Buddhist world, whether in the internal sphere in our own meditation, or in the external sphere in the ecology and the society and all of these kinds of things, whether on the largest scale of universes and cosmology, or on the most tiny scale of quarks and so on. And all of this, what we're seeing energies, we're seeing patterns, we're seeing change, we're seeing transformation. And so these were the things which the Buddha called the Dhammas and the Sankharas, all of these things which are part of that world. And so we are not actors upon that world. We are participants in that world. We are part of it. And so that future that we're going to create, are we going to have a future where so many of the promises of technology in terms of medical advances and so on, where these are going to be realised and we can live in a future where people are free from hunger and so on? Technologically, I think these things are possible. I don't think I think the technological problems are solvable. But the real problem is that human problem. What choices are we going to make? Okay, and we live in a world which is so incomprehensibly strange, okay, that people say we are headed towards apocalypse of one form or another, right? From climate change, perhaps from biological forms or nuclear forms or whatever it might be. And people talk about things like turning the ocean into algae, or putting like armies of nanobots in space to reflect the sun and to cool down our planet. These things are thinkable, right? These things are part of a public dialogue. But the thought that we could be saying, perhaps we could buy less stuff, that's not thinkable. Yeah? That's not part of our public sphere, our public dialogue. But I think it has to become that way. And we have to, our culture in the future, if we want to have a future, that culture in the future, we have to be asking ourselves these questions. Can I be happy without more stuff? If I'm going to live in a world where my children have less stuff than I did, can we be happy to live in that kind of world? And of course the Buddhist answer is yes. The Buddhist answer is you don't need much stuff. A little bit is enough. And if we are content to have a little bit, and if we don't always have to have everything all the time, then we can together create a world that's worth living in. And we can create a world where the wonders of technology, the marvels that technology opens, we can see the fruits of that, and we can see the benefits of that. And we can see the movement where an increased understanding of consciousness, of intelligence, of awareness, of perception, all of these kinds of things in the scientific realm can move towards and be informed by our inner understanding through meditation. That convergence, I think, is the most exciting thing that's happening in our world today. One of the most exciting changes that's happening ever in history. Can we bring together and unite those two technologies, the external scientific rational technology of Western science and the inner methodology and technology of meditation from Buddhism and the Eastern religions? If we can do that, that's a remarkable thing, and it's a future which I'd like to live in. So thanks very much.